Alright, so in today's video, we're going to be doing Deckathalon and how to do stages 1 through 5. Now, I've already made guides for all the other ones, but apparently I didn't do one for Death, and I did get reminded by Logan that, hey, I should probably upload one, and you know what, that's probably right. I mean, it's the last one. So, we're going to be doing a complete guide on how to do stages 1 through 5, and just remember, shout out to Logan, shout out to Shabazz for helping create all these guides, because without them I wouldn't be able to make all these videos. So they usually kind of guide me and whatnot for Deckathalon, because I take care of everything else in the game when it comes to PvE, but Deckathalon is one of those things I just don't really have too much time for, but I do participate whenever I get the chance. So when it comes to the setup, just remember your gear does not matter. The only thing that actually does matter is your pet, of course, and as mentioned in every other guide, we use this deadly null dragon. It doesn't have to be on a deadly null dragon, just these particular stats. So I use Frozen Kraken, Fairy Friend, Sprite Queen, Energizing Battery, Unicorn, and then you can sock it on a Pigsy Jewel. Now, of course, not everyone's going to be able to have the quote-unquote min-max. You can even use Sprite instead of Sprite Queen. You can drop another talent for, I don't know, another heal. Basically, just run an all-heal pet, right? But the main talent you need is Frozen Kraken. Now, of course, I know some people might suggest, well, what if I don't have a Pigsy Jewel? You know, I wasn't around when that came out. You can use Bracefy if you want. There's even jewels that give you like an ally shield. You can use those. There's even, I believe, some other jewels that you can use. And there's even like the Mass Tower shield. That's an option too. You can use D-lands if you want. Like, there's many options, but realistically, the main priority option should be Pigsy. But after that, socket whatever you want. There's even some Scroll of Fortunes that actually give you like a Maycast Unicorn socket or a Maycast Bright socket or a Fairy one, but that depends on your account if you've been playing for that long, of course. So that is your main priority, is the stats. The cards won't come into the Deckathalon, so these dark tributes or dark packs, if you are an OG player, these will not come into your deck. And then of course the deck, we are using a specific deck that is from Darkmoor. This is OG Darkmoor, and this is the deck that gives you extra sideboards. Now, this one is good because of sideboards, right? If we're comparing it to like a traditional decks give you 36. But you do gain some extra health in return, so that's another option. But your number one priority should be using the Darkmoor deck, the OG one. Now, if you don't have the time to go grind it and whatnot, it's okay to use any deck that has a square socket realistically. Recommendation is obviously, since we do have the new world of Darkmoor, you can use, for example, I think it's like Monster Hide, I think that's what it's called. You can use that deck, which is like the Stalker equivalent. And that should have a square socket, and you just want to put on some health. And with the release of Darkmoor, we did get some increases to the health jewels, so you don't have to do this on the death, but if you want to be quote-unquote optimal, you would want to do this on a life. Life has the highest health sockets, I believe, or it could be ice. It's between the two, but you can use any school that has high health on their jewels, which kind of gives you incentive to run a specific school in Deckathalon. So life would probably be the best, but after that you can, you know, be whatever. But I've just done all these guides on my death, so I'm just keeping it consistent. And then there is some things I do want to mention, which are Maycast jewels. Now, this might cast randomly throughout the fight, and you used to be able to farm these from Baba Yaga back in the day, but I did get clarification. Now, this is only dropped from the rat. Now, this isn't something you should go out and go farm and be like, okay, I'm gonna spend so much time to get this Maycast jewel and whatnot. Literally, I opened so many energy jewels back in the day, or energy jewel packs, so I have a stockpile of these. But it, you know, it does give you like extra damage depending on which one you use. There's like a death one, life one for every school, right? But if you see this cast, don't be like, well, I'm in, you know, won this fight because of a cast. It's not really going to affect this Deckathalon because we are using life hits. So this is the deck setup that we are using. You want to have, for example, 21 shields specifically for death, and then you want to have 4 fairies. And then you do want to have 8 Nature's Wrath, as well as 4 Seraphs, and then finally 3 Centaurs. Now, all this is bazaar friendly, meaning you can get this from the Librarian, you can get this from as well as the Arcanum. That's where you get the Centaurs. So this is all from the library as well as Arcanum. Now, we do have some notes from Logan that I do want to mention. He said, I added 2 shields because 4 fairies is already a lot, so it doesn't have to be 5. I'm assuming because, you know, we don't want to have 5 fairies. We don't need too much, so just scrolling it down to 4. Now, He did also mention that Forest Lord isn't vendor, which I knew that too, which is so that's why we're using centaurs on specific stages. So just remember, if you want to, he says you can use Orthos or Stormlord, but there is a chance of you fizzling. So it's a gamble that you have to risk, because in Decathalon, usually how it works is depending on the Decathalon, you get extra accuracy for a specific school. So in this case, whenever we go inside the Decathalon, we'll get bonus stats for accuracy moving forward into the stages. So you won't get that for other schools. So that's something to remember. So you can use Orthos, you can use Stormlord on specific stages, but you have to risk the fizzle. So that's up to you. Now stages 4 and above, so stage 4 and 5, they start doing poison, so that's something you do have to remember as well, which are kind of annoying. So we'll have to do a lot of if-then situations whenever we get to those stages. Now that we got all that out the way, the last thing I want to talk about is the rewards from Deckathalon really quickly. Usually people chase for the pet, which, I mean, it's still useful now, but majority of people are just using the Skelterion pets, so that's an option. But you do get a badge for once you do get to 450 points, and usually people chase the cosmetics, which you can go craft and whatnot from this vendor. You get the recipes, and you can chase all the cosmetics if you want to. It's just a personal preference, but that's usually why people tend to do Decathalon, because there is no leaderboards at the moment. I don't even know when those are ever going to come back, but we'll have to see. So remember that you can claim your credits. Of course, this is the first attempt, and you guys can see all the rules. You guys can read this in your own time and whatnot, and you get 3 credits per day. So remember to redeem your credits every day. You can do this on multiple characters as well. So if you want to have, you know, multiple runs and whatnot throughout the day, just do it on multiple characters and, you know, grind up some points, grind up some runes and whatnot to craft whatever you want. So there is that. And then of course, make sure your pet is fed. I probably should go grab snacks because I cleaned out my characters, so I will be right back. Okay, so now I've got my snacks. We are good to go, and let's get into our first run of the day. And just remember, like I said, feed your pet whatever snacks you guys have. Obviously don't use your mega snacks unless like you're a big baller, but other than that, just use whatever snacks. So let's get it started. So for the first fight is going to be really straightforward. All we're going to do is do a will cast, so you can just not do anything. You can just pass, do whatever, and just kind of just chill here till you get the ability to use your will cast. So the will cast is 2 rounds, I believe. So right here, wait 1 more round, and there you go. And then we can use our Frozen Kraken. Just remember, click on it, and then click on the enemy, and then you can do whatever move as well, but we're not doing anything in this case, so we're just going to use our will cast. There we go. So now we got some of our reagents, and you do get those special event points as well towards the bar. Now in this fight, we are going to use Frozen Kraken on 1 enemy, and we're also going to use Nature's Wrath on 1. The person that you pick doesn't matter because you can see that this does 270, so it's going to kill either one of them regardless. So we'll just wait till we get 1 more pip, and then we can target one of them. Also, another thing is you got to remember, and for future Decathalons, a lot of these traps got buffed. So yeah, that's something you have to be wary about. You will be taking 10% more damage in Decathalon than normal. And then hey, you get the occasional heal once in a while. Let's say heal. Alright, so there we go. We can't use Frozen Kraken yet, but we can kill one of the mobs. I tend to kill the one that has the most pips, so it doesn't really matter in this case. So we'll just kill the first one. There we go. We got a special event point. That's how I know I didn't fizzle. At a certain point, you're not going to get your special event points because it's 20 per day. So it's like once you use 20 TCs a day, then you don't get any more special event points for the TC portion at least. And then here we just use Frozen Kraken and then pass. We don't need to do anything. There we go. Stage 1.2 completed. We got our runes, we got our points, and we move on to I guess what I like to say, the boss of the stage. So boss of stage 1. This model is still so buggy. I'm surprised they haven't fixed it. Man's just floating in the sky. But what we're going to be doing in this one is just use Frozen Kraken. So we don't need to do anything. You can just pass till you get the ability to use your Frozen Kraken. There we go. It's the 3rd round. There we go. And we can click on Frozen Kraken. Just remember to select the enemy and then pass, or you know, if you need to do a move, but you shouldn't be able, or you shouldn't need to do any moves early on, especially because it's stage 1. There we go, stage 1 completed. And remember to buy your Deckathalon deck from here as well, because it's a recipe. You can buy the treasure card display if you want to as well, if you want to display treasure cards in your house. And then this other stuff, that's up to you if you want to buy. I'm not really going to give any advice towards that because it's an obvious answer of what you should be buying, what you shouldn't be. So now we move on to stage 2. Now we're doing the same exact thing in the last stage where we only use a will cast, but if we do take a lot of damage and we, are really struggling on HP, maybe our pet hasn't healed us to this point, we're pretty low on HP, then of course you can use a fairy if you need to. But judging by my HP, I don't really need to unless something happens in the next couple rounds, which is very possible. So in my opinion, I don't think I need to heal realistically. But if you are pretty low, then hey, go for it. And we use our Frozen Kraken as always. And then if I needed to heal, I could have healed right there as well, but I'm just not going to. There we go, stage 2.1 completed. And now we move on to the middle stage where we have 2 enemies here, which is going to be a little bit annoying, but we can make it work. Slowly just going to ramp up from here. So in this fight, you are going to need a shield as well as a seraph, and you are going to be incorporating a pass at some point as well, and you are going to be using a Frozen Kraken to kill one of them as well. So for the first round, we are going to shield because I'm not trying to take too much damage, of course. They probably are just going to use Ghoul, both of them, I assume. Oh, he fizzled. That's actually pretty good. And then we did get a mage cast for my Thame, but ignore it. It has no effect in this Deckathalon at all. And I'm going to pass, of course, right there as well. Oh, you really just did that? Okay, that's fine. Okay, so now what we're going to do is use Seraph on one of them, but it doesn't really matter because they're both of their HPs. Literally, this is 390, so, or at minimum, it does 390, so it doesn't matter who you click. So we're just going to click one of them and then use Seraph on the other one. And you can see I didn't fizzle, got my special event point. Yeah, literally gets boosted. And then of course the Frozen Kraken will kill the other one. And there you go, stage 2.2 completed. And now we move on to boss of stage 2. So what we're going to be doing in here is just shielding once and then as well as using Frozen Kraken. So we don't need to use any of our TC yet, luckily. Trap, that's fine. I mean, I still have a shield on me. And then we're just going to pass into a will cast. So I'll probably do some damage right here. Or just fizzle. That's actually perfect. Into a mage cast that I'm not going to use. And then we do use our Frozen Kraken here. And we're good to go. We're good on this stage. And there we go, stage 2.3 completed. And as always, remember to buy your deck if you need to, or any TCs if you want to. I do recommend buying the Minor Blessings, but that's up to you. It's just a recipe, but you can get the other one as well if you want to. That's completely up to you. Now we move on to stage 3. Now stage 3 is going to be slightly different, just to a certain extent. But round 1, we are going to shield. So there is that. As well as if we do get hit with the plague, it's not really getting hit with it, but if they do cast a plague on us, which we'll see right now. Okay, luckily that wasn't a plague. But if there was a plague on us, we would have to cast a Nature's Wrath with the will cast. So whenever we use will cast Kraken, we will have to cast a Nature's Wrath as well, because there's a chance of us not killing, which more likely will happen if we do have a plague on us. But second round, we will pass. Hopefully we don't get hit with the plague, so we're good. We don't need the Nature's Wrath, luckily. It's only if we had a plague on us, so luckily we got unscathed. But Frozen Kraken will kill because you guys can see this 520 base, so he has 480. Pretty straightforward. Now we move on to the middle fight where it will be slightly different as well, because we want to kill the higher HP mob before the lower HP mob. So in this case, the higher HP mob would be the Grim Satyr, and then the lower HP is the Goblin. But we will be using shield as well as another shield, and going to be casting a will cast on one of them, and then proceeding to use the same exact thing or the same exact method on the other one. So you guys will see what I mean in a moment. But hopefully we don't get hit with any plagues. I mean, if we do, we do, and we just adapt, and we'll have to use a Nature's Wrath with the will cast, of course. That cast animation is so loud for no reason, but we'll ignore it. And then we are going to shield once more. Seems like we're getting a little bit lucky just because they're blade stacking themselves nonstop. And there is no plague on us, so we're safe to use our frozen kraken next round. We did get a heal, so that actually works out. We got a healing current. So I don't need to heal at all in this fight, and I think there's another heal too. Yeah, another heal too, so it's perfect. If you do get some point low in this specific fight, you do have the option to use your fairies, but luckily my pet is healing, so I don't need to use it at all. But we didn't have any plagues on us, so we are just going to use Frozen Kraken, and we are going to kill the right one. Now, this is kind of risky, in my opinion, just because this is 520, he has 530. You know, if you do, for example, the lowest possible one, then, you know, hey, that might not kill. But, you know, we are going to risk it in our sort of sense, but you can still cast that Nature's Wrath if you want to. And I'm just going to pass in my case because I still have a shield. And I'm just going to risk the Frozen Kraken killing. But if it didn't kill, I mean, hey, that's when he's at like 520. You know, he does have 530. What I would just do, honestly, in my opinion, is always just use the Nature's Wrath. Just on the off chance you hit the lowest, which is possible here. Like, literally, we did 5 above his HP. So, like I said, I ran the risk. In my opinion, I know, like, on Logan's strat, it says, if Plague, cast Nature's Wrath. I think in this specific case, I would still cast it, in my opinion. On the lower HP mob, your Frozen Kraken will always kill, just because the lowest threshold that it can do is, or the lowest point you can do is 520. It's 480. You're always going to kill. You can use shields if you want to. I'm just not going to use any shields right here. And I'm just going to keep passing till I can use my Frozen Kraken. I'm kind of in a good state, so I'm just not going to actually shield at all. You can spam drains or whatnot, but it really doesn't affect me in any sort of way. Just because I have the healing overtimes on me. And on top of that, my pet's popping off right now. Then pass again, and then we'll use Frozen Kraken next round. And luckily my pet has been keeping me alive, so I didn't need to heal at any point. There's a chance where your pet doesn't go off or anything like that, and you might need to heal. It's an option. You have heals in your deck, and you have so many pips, so you could heal at some point if you wanted to. You will get the bubble because I haven't casted anything, which is fine, but you will be dead this round anyways, so there you go. And I had an open opportunity to heal right there if I needed to as well. But if I did get hit with the Plague, I will have to use Nature's Wrath as well as Frozen Kraken on this target. And there you go, stage 3.2 completed, and we move on to the boss of stage 3, which is the Oni. We love the Onis. We are going to be using a shield. We do have our Nature's Wrath as well, so let's shield around 1. And then I am going to use Nature's Wrath right here, because we do have to use it with the Willcast anyways, because he does have 590. Then we do have a Plague on us, but I believe we should still kill, even with the Plague. I could heal right there if I wanted to as well, but no, I don't need it. And there you go, stage 3.3 completed. And remember to buy your deck if you haven't, and then you can buy these treasure cards. I actually might buy those triages because triages are annoying to find, and then you can buy the life banshee if you want to. I mean, that's just up to you. Now we move on to stage 4, and this is where the poisons start to happen. So you will need to react depending on your opponent slightly. So you can, you know, pass, you can shield, or you can heal until, you know, you get the opportunity to use Nature's Wrath as well as Frozen Kraken, which you are going to be using in this fight. So I don't need to heal or shield at the moment, so I'm just going to pass. But if you needed to heal right here, that could have been a good opportunity to do it as well. It just depends on your situation. But for me, I'm just going to send out my Nature's Wrath immediately before I get hit with a Plague, which I assume they probably still can, but I don't remember. I don't have their decks memorized. There we go. He's going to hit me with poison, I assume now, right? Yeah, so this is where the poison starts to come and play. And then luckily our pet's here. But just remember, if, you know, just pass, shield, or heal until you get the ability to do those hits that you need to. Yeah, like we're just getting heals up, like just crazy heals nonstop. And then of course we got the Maycast aura, just ignore it, has no effect. And then we do have our Frozen Kraken, and we're just gonna cast that, and he's dead. Pretty easy. And then if I needed to heal right there, that could have been an opportunity to heal as well. And there we go, stage 4.1 completed. And now we reach the middle stage of stage 4, which is stage 4.2, which mainly the middle stages are the annoying ones in my opinion. The ones that are like at the beginning and the end are really not that difficult. But what we are going to do is we are going to Seraph and use Will Cast Kraken on the highest HP mob, which is the Wailing Druvish, I guess that's how you pronounce it. So I will proceed to shield right here just because there's an opportunity of both of them for it to hit me. So I'm just going to use some shields. At this point, you should have a lot of shields still in your deck, and there's only a couple stages left. So feel free to use your shields if need be. And we do have a plague on us, which is kind of annoying, but we will see how that turns out. I do need to pull for my Seraph, which I already have. And then of course, if you need a heal at some point, that's also an option as well. I'm just going to double shield to reduce the damage that's going to be given to me. And then we already have our Frozen Kraken up for next round because, you know, after 2 rounds, we have our Frozen Kraken. And on top of that, I will Seraph and hopefully kill the Wailing Druvish in this upcoming round, but we'll have to see. Unless I get hit with a double plague. Okay, luckily no double plague. There we go. Let's kill him immediately. So we use our Frozen Kraken as well as our Seraph on him. And hopefully that kills, but we shall see right now. Because we do have a plague on us, which is very annoying. Yeah, that's 372. Yeah, plus the 500. Yeah, it kills him. Just 800 and something in total. Close to 900 in total, depending on the range of this. Yeah, there you go. And then he's dead. Now we just need to do the exact same thing against the other enemy, but we can use Nature's Wrath instead of using Seraph. So I would hold off on you using your Seraph and, you know, just using Nature's Wrath instead. And until then, we can just shield. If we need to heal at some point, that's also an option. But I already have a shield on me, so I'm just going to pass. I'm not really too worried. And if he's going to poison, he can poison, but it's not really going to affect me. But yeah, now he doesn't even have enough pips to even poison. So we're kind of just chilling and just going to wait till we get enough pips and our Frozen Kraken to reset to be able to kill him. And then we're good to go with the stage, realistically. Then I'm going to pass again because I really don't care if I take too much HP right here. And like, yeah, he didn't even hit me. So it kind of just works out in our favor. But I could have healed right there, whatnot, because I was going to get a power pip anyways. But Frozen Kraken, as well as Nature's Wrath, will do the job and kill him. And there you go. Both of those hits combined just kill him. And there you go. There's stage 4.2 completed, and we got some runes and whatnot. But let's move on to the boss of stage 4, which would be the Gloomhorn. Yeah, the Gloomhorn. So we are going to incorporate some shields. You can heal at some point if you need to, but our main thing that we're going to be doing is using Seraph as well as Frozen Kraken. So we are going to be casting a shield to reduce the damage. He does have a power pip and whatnot. So he's probably use like Banshee or something maybe. Luckily not. Okay, the trap. He might go for a poison or something. And then I am going to pass, but I'm also going to pull for a heal just on the off chance my pet doesn't heal and I really need to. Let's see. We don't need Nature's Wrath in this case. So no heal. Okay. See what he does. Okay, so there's the poison. Hopefully my pet can heal. If not, I mean, we're fine taking some damage. I don't want to take too much, of course. Pet didn't heal, sadly. Okay. It does have 1 pip. I don't think I need to heal. I mean, I could, but I think I'm just going to risk it and use Frozen Kraken as well as Seraph. And then what I'm going to do in my case is I'm going to heal myself in the next fight whenever I get the opportunity to. Because I still have 600 HP roughly, like close to 700, right? And the next fight we are going to be using like Centaur and stuff. So it gives me an opportunity to like kind of delay the rounds if I need to and heal if need be. But luckily our pet did heal, so right at the end. I mean, the poison ticks do kind of help out, so we do get some healing from that. But now I don't need to heal in the next fight. But if that pet didn't heal, I would have had to like delay the next fight a little bit just to get some heals off. And then remember, buy your deck. Of course, you can buy the pedestal if you want. I mean, buy it anyways. You can buy your Dryad or pot boilers. That's also an option as well. I'm probably not going to, or I'll just buy them. Why not? Why not? I'm never going to craft those, but I'll just buy them in case. But now we move on to the big and final stage, which is stage 5, which will take some time, of course, in total, just by looking at this entire fight. So in this particular fight, we are going to be using centaurs, so we are going to try to pull for our centaur, and then we're also going to shield. So we have our centaur, we're going to shield and try to delay as much as we can till we can have the ability to centaur. But just remember, poisons do exist, so that can happen at any time. I am going to double shield just in case. I don't think you really need to do this, but I'm going to do this for my sake, just to reduce the damage for the next fight in case he does poison. So let's see what he does right here. His Banshee, that's fine. So we're double shielded. We're okay. So even if he does like another hit, we shouldn't take too much damage. So there we go. I'm just going to Frozen Kraken now. There's no harm into, just because if for some reason I get hit with the plague or whatnot, or something happens, I at least want to have the ability to, back up will cast. Because by the time we can centaur, we'll probably have another will cast up eventually. There's already a 5 right now. We'll get a pip this upcoming round. There's the plague. So we should see if this centaur kills, which I would assume it does. This is 610. So get that out of the way. And I'm going into the next fight with 1k, which I think should be okay. But we'll see. I mean, they could do a lot of damage. And I'm also relying on a lot of make cast from the pet. And there you go. Stage 5.1 done. And now we move on to the hard stage, in my opinion, which is this one. So we got the Crypt Croc as well as the Grim Creeper. So we are going to be using centaurs in here. We also are going to be using a lot of shields and heal. But this is the fight where you have the opportunity to use those Stormlords or Orthros if you had the idea of wanting to pack those in. As mentioned at the beginning of the video, I did say, you might need those if you want to, instead of using centaurs in this particular fight. So you could use Stormlord or Orthros if you wanted to. But in my case, I'm just going to be using centaurs instead. So we have a lot of shields luckily in our deck, so we are going to play quite defensive till we can centaur, and whenever we get the chance to centaur, we'll kill the high HP mob and then do the same exact thing to the other one. So they do have Hex as well. They do, or not, I think that's Curse actually. They do have Curse as well. The 3 pips, we'll probably get a power pip next round. There's the poison. I'm hoping the other guy hits me with something, probably like a 3 pip or something. Okay, so we have double poison. Okay, this is gonna be a little bit annoying. Oh, hopefully this is a Sprite. That's a Pigsy. I mean, that's fine. Heals are heals, right? But I preferably wanted a Sprite or Healing Current, just to counteract the heals per round. Or counteract the dots per round. That's what I meant to say. So I do have the option to shield, but I don't think I'm going to shield. I think I'm actually going to pass because I don't need a heal, luckily. And even if I shield, it just reduces the damage on the poison. But I don't think I'm going to shield right here. Instead, I'm going to Frozen Kraken now on the left mob, just so I can get my Frozen Kraken up again quickly as possible. So I'm actually just going to pass. But depending on your situation right here, you can heal, do whatever. But for me, I think I'm just going to pass and use Frozen Kraken on the left mob and try to get my Frozen Kraken up fast. Because in total, you can use 3 Frozen Krakens. And, if something hits the fan, whatnot, and I need a Frozen Kraken for the 3rd time, I have the ability to. Now we did get some healing back, which is perfect. This is perfect. This is exactly what I wanted. I wanted a Sprite Queen, just to counteract the poisons over time. Because each of those ticks gives us a chance of getting a heal, which is perfect. Blading him is not the best shout because he should be just dead this upcoming round. So that wasn't really the best move. Yeah, and this does 610 lowest, but we do boost, so it will do more damage. Should do close to like 700. Or if not, close to like 680 or something. We're taking some damage. That is true. But we do have to kind of just deal with it at this point. Yeah, there's like 700. You know what I mean? So what's he gonna do? Trap or Banshee? Trap. Okay, so he's probably gonna poison next round. So I am actually going to shield and just hope that he doesn't poison. But these poisons will be done this round. But now we kind of just go on the defense and just spam shields and whatnot till we get the ability to Centaur. Of course, if my pet doesn't heal or anything like that, I have the option to heal and then play a little bit more defensive again if need be. Yeah, because he's just going to spam poisons. See, we still have a couple shields, so we are going to crack in now. And we're going to shield again. It has a 170, which is quite a lot. Which I might even actually heal, because my pet isn't healing. Which I'm getting kind of low, but I'm hoping my pet does pop off. Because each of those ticks, has a chance of healing. Sadly, no heal. Yeah, that's a buff. Okay. So we are going to heal. I'm probably going to be spamming heals a little bit, just because he is going to poison me more likely, and that poison tick is going to do a lot. And what I can do, actually, instead of using Centaur and whatnot, I can actually just use my Willcast again and just keep playing defense till then. Because more likely this is a poison. It's actually not. That's interesting. So we'll have my Frozen Kraken up next round. What I'm actually going to do is I'm actually going to heal once again. Just because even if I shield, I can't even check what my tick is on this. It's just going to protect me against the initial hit. Actually, I will shield, because there is a chance that he might not even poison, he might use something else. So we are going to shield instead. That still does a lot. See, this might be a poison, more likely. It's not. We actually got lucky. Okay, so we're just going to use Frozen Kraken again. Ideally, you would just use Centaur and just would have killed. But I wanted to play the game where I just use Frozen Kraken twice and just play a little bit more defense instead. But in an ideal world, you would just use Centaur and Frozen Kraken to kill both of them. But in my case, I'm just going to use Frozen Kraken twice instead to kill the lower HP mob. And I'm going to heal instead, so I can go into the next fight a little bit more comfortable. So slightly different than what Logan recommended, but based upon what was happening in my fight, I'm going to slightly alter it. Of course, this is assuming no V-Plagues, or not V-Plagues, assuming no plagues and whatnot. Also, this gives me the ability to save that Centaur I was going to use in the next fight, because I only have one Centaur, and that was specifically for this mob. Then we move on to the boss of stage 5, which is the Bark Knight. So we are going to play defense. It does have 1.1k, and we are going to be using Willcast and whatnot as well. And just to spam shields, honestly, this is like one of those fights where you just spam shields and just keep going over and over. There's the poison. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to use Frozen Kraken now and then shield again. Ideally, what you want to do in this fight, though, is if you did use Centaur in the previous fight, is you do want to use Nature's Wrath and use a Willcast Kraken, play a little bit of defense in between, so heal if you need to, shield if you need to, whatnot, and then once you get enough pips, you want to use Seraph and then do another Willcast. That's what you ideally will do, but in my case, I'm playing it slightly different because I saved my Centaur, but it also depends on what he does right here. So he did put a plague on. Okay. So what we're going to do is discard one of those. We do have our Centaur. I'm actually going to just straight up just use the Centaur, which it might not kill, of course, but I mean, what can you do, right? So we'll do this. I feel like it'll be pretty close to killing regardless, even with the minus 20. Yeah, it's like really close. And just to finish it off, we'll do a what's it called, Frozen Kraken, or you can use a Nature's Wrath in my case. So till then, just we can be on the defense. Really, you don't have much to worry about. But ideally, a Seraph or a Nature's Wrath, Seraph and a Nature's Wrath, I mean, would be better here. So just gonna do that, and I can just do a victory heal because why not? But like I said, ideally Nature's Wrath plus the Willcast Kraken, play a little bit of defense in between, and use Seraph and Willcast. I'm just playing it slightly different because of the cards I still had from previous fights. I guess a victory may cast Aura, but I mean, it's whatever. And there you go, stage 5 has been completed. Remember to buy your Deckathalon deck if you haven't, because the deck 5 is the sought after one because it gives you 2 pips, which I've mentioned in a lot of videos of why you need this deck. If you haven't, just go watch the other videos. TLDR, it's good for Scald Incendiate strategies for the Incendiator, as well as if you are using Backdraft deck, you can get, or not Backdraft deck, Backdraft Hat, you get the additional pip round 1, so you can use a higher percentage backdraft for certain fights. So there's that. You can buy, they should probably fix this. It says Dark Tribute, but this is Dark Pact. But you can get your TCs for Dark Tribute here. Essence of Life, sure, we'll buy that, and then you don't need to buy the Nature's Wrath because you can just get that from the vendor. And you do have the option, of course, depending on how your fight went. If you want to, you can do the next fight. I'm not going to, but I still have some shields, and depending on what items you or what cards you've saved throughout your fights, you could do the additional fight on the next stage and just use all your will casts and spam heals and whatnot. But I was playing more of a safer route, in my opinion. And just doing stages 1 through 5, which I haven't done any runs, of course, other than this first run as shown. You guys can see on my points, if we go here, that I did get 76 points in total. And that's, of course, the 20 points from here. So in total, I would have gotten 56 points from my first run. So you can do this over and over, and you eventually get the pet and whatnot, and get the badge from here if that's something you're chasing. But that just comes down to you. But that's basically it for this video. Hopefully this will help you on your Deckathalon adventures, trying to get you those deck 5s, or maybe just those stages 1 through 5, or maybe you're just trying to complete the bar and whatnot. Maybe down the line I will actually do videos for the stages, like stages 6 through 10 and whatnot. Obviously it wouldn't be a 6 through 10 run, it would probably be more like a 6 through 8 run, or 6 through 7, and then 8 through 9, and then probably like a 10 run, but something like that. I can do it in the future depending on how, you know, depending on you guys as the viewer, if you want me to do that, if you guys want to see something like that. But shout out to Logan, shout out to your boss, as always, for all these Deckathalon informations, of course, because like I said, I don't have time for Deckathalon, actually, like creating strats and whatnot, because I'm busy working on challenge modes and working on so many other things in the game, so I wouldn't be able to record these videos without them. But that is it for me. Leave a like, subscribe, all type of stuff, and I'll talk to you guys in the next one. Peace out, guys.